Hello everyone and welcome back to Around the World in 80 Planes. For this flight I'm going from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates to Karachi in Pakistan in a Dassault Rafale, a freeware Dassault Rafale, and it is decent in the interior but scrumptious on the exterior. As you can see, a very good looking exterior, nice livery, and there's a bunch of nice liveries for it, very distinctive ones. And but I like this simple black one the best. And yeah, so this should be an enjoyable flight. It's a pretty long flight, 642 nautical miles, but it'll be fairly short in time because we're going to decisively break the sound barrier this time. And we're going to make full use of the engines here. In my past experience with this particular plane, it seemed to be able to get right through its rated speed limit of Mach 1.8, which means that that limit is probably structural rather than based on the engines. I've checked the engine thrust in PlaneMaker to see that it's correct, and it is, so there, and the mass is correct. In fact, we're a little bit overloaded with fuel right now, according to the loading screen. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm continuing with the Apollo 12 audio. They're on their way back from the moon, which means we'll be getting started with Apollo 13 soon. And probably will get through that during the series. So here we go. And that "you're welcome" was probably for some, yeah, for some numbers. Okay,
Yes, sir.
brakes off, and I'm gonna try and take off without afterburner or flaps here, because it accelerates pretty darn fast. And I'm, on one hand, I'm afraid of breaking surfaces.
Apollo 12 is 4,295.
And on the other, I want to keep the
miles
speed
away from the
under
moon,
certain limits.
heading toward home at a velocity of 4,876
gear up.
feet per second. The briefing in the Houston News Center on the analysis of the electrical phenomenon during launch of Apollo 12 is about to begin.
Finally, they're gonna
We'll
do a
take
briefing
down this
about the
release
lightning
line
strike.
during
Electrical
briefing.
phenomenon, that's a euphemism. Okay, there's
Tape
Dubai.
any air-ground
I guess we should fly
transmissions
around it. Let's
and
slow down.
Play those following the briefing.
I mean, the flight will be pretty quick
At
otherwise.
174 hours, 6 minutes, this is Mission Control, Houston. This is Apollo Control at 175 hours, 15 minutes. Apollo 12 is 7,392 nautical miles from the moon. Velocity 4,443 feet per second. The crew has not yet turned in. They're now establishing the passive thermal control mode for the sleep period.
PTC
We
takes a
have about
lot
6
more
minutes
effort
of
than
tape
you would think it
accumulated,
does.
during
Just
the
establishing a
news
role,
conference.
but
We'll play that for you now.
it has to be a stable role in a way that maintains communication with Earth, so.
Disable Baker and Charlie. We want you to use Alpha and Delta.
Those are the thruster blocks, so they want to disable 2 of them and just use the other 2, probably to even out the fuel. Each thruster block had its own fuel tanks. Very complicated, but good for redundancy.
That's affirmative. Apollo 12, when you go off the high gain, we'd like you to
Well,
turn
Burj
off
Dubai
the
sure
high
sticks
gain
out,
power during the sleep period
as you would expect.
and pick up with Omni Bravo.
There's sort of a twisty tower right there, right in front of us.
Will do.
2 twisty towers.
Also, we'd like you to turn off the optics power this evening for the sleep period.
I don't know if all the buildings, that's clipped in, so I don't know, that doesn't seem right to me.
Power this evening,
Possibly, because I have other Dubai scenery, but the game also has, and then there's some transparency issues. And then the game adds its own, so some of that
Bravo
business might
and
be
Charlie off, Alpha
duplicates.
And Delta to be used. Okay. Apollo 12, Houston.
I swear so I've fixed the
Roger,
3J
I checked with your wife,
FPS,
and I have a
but
short status report on the family whenever you get a minute.
Outstanding.
I sort of like it without it on.
Okay, Pete,
And
I
it
talked
seems
to
like the
Jane,
frame
and
rates are
she
just
said
as
she
good.
really enjoyed the TV show. Also, she sent a letter out.
Hold on just a second.
Gotcha.
Give me just a second. Go ahead.
Okay, Pete talked to Jane, and she said that she saw the TV show and enjoyed it mightily, that it was a great show. Also, she sent a letter for you out to the carrier that will be there with all the family news when you arrive. But she wanted you to know that all the family is well, and they're anxious for you to hurry home. Dick, Barbara said that they also saw the show, and they thought it was great, and the family's in, she says again, great shape, so they're looking for you back in a hurry. Al talked to Sue.
You can see Abu Dhabi back there.
You bet. Al, I talked to
Oh
Sue,
no, maybe that's
and,
still part of Dubai.
It seems that
Abu Dhabi's a little bit further
the
along.
network put on the
think.
TV show, they had Pete's name up under your picture, and she says it's been so long since she's seen you that even confused her for a moment. But the family's been watching the flight, they're waiting for you, and they're looking forward to splashdown, and everybody's fine.
So important to remember that they were away from home much longer than just 10 days of the trip,
You might,
of course.
wear a name tag or something so that she'll recognize you.
There won't be any worry about it for another 20 days or so.
Roger.
Talked to her through the glass in the LRL for a while. We're just
Okay,
finishing up,
time to accelerate.
now, Todd, and we'll be coming at you with the post-sleep check report in about...
Really don't want to use the afterburners too low at too low a level because they consume fuel like crazy.
Hope so.
Apollo 12, Houston.
Unfortunately, the photo scenery is a little bit stripy around here.
You're extremely weak, Pete. Roger, your rates look good, so you can go ahead and spin up any time you want, and we assume that you have no dumps to do that'll perturb the roll. Roger. Pete, would you ask one of the other crew to transmit? We can just barely read you.
I couldn't even read him at all, so
Extremely weak, Al. You're just barely audible.
I cut out those parts since it wasn't audible.
Roger, the problem is probably between the site and Houston. We've got a good downlink signal, so we'll check it out here on the ground. Thank you. 12, we copy just a little dumping going on. As soon as that damps out, you can go ahead and roll.
So we're headed to the Straits of Hormuz, or Strait of Hormuz? I normally see it plural, or at least it seemed like that. But anyway,
So it appears that we've lost the downlink long line for a few minutes. As soon as we get it reestablished, we'll be back with you.
Houston 12.
now Wikipedia says that the service ceiling for this is 50,000 feet. It can go past that, but I'll try and have it hang out around here.
No, we're saying
And
stand by
time
your
to
rate
break the
for a
sound
few more
barrier.
minutes And then start your roll.
Okay, but you don't want us to dump urine after we start PTC, is that right?
Whatever is necessary, go ahead and do, but we'll damp out your rates as much as you can before you start the roll.
Okay.
Well, we're well past the speed of sound now.
We just don't want to have
Mach
to wake you up in the middle of the night
1.5. You
and
can
have
see
you,
it
do a
punches
maneuver
right
for
through
us.
without any problems. We can probably throttle down here.
Yeah, it's no problem. We
Um,
can keep it
I
on board,
need
so,
fuel info.
I didn't know when we were down this light if it was going to mess us up, and I guess it probably will.
Try
so
to get it
keep
to
on
make
board,
sure
no
we have an
problem.
hour of fuel. Not go too much faster than that.
Apollo 12, Houston, your rates look good to us. If you want to spin up, we're agreeable.
Okay, we're just getting ready to do that right now. Thank you.
Basically, in the Apollo mission, they're trying to settle the
Houston 12.
craft down and then spin
Go
up
ahead, 12.
so that there's no wobble.
I
And it's not so easy. It's not so
Roger.
easy. I want to keep it to that Mach 1.8 if possible, but it's difficult to trim this thing out.
Apollo 12, Houston.
Go ahead.
Roger. We're
And
gonna be
again,
on
I'm not
low
using
bit
autopilot
rate,
on any
most
of these
the night,
flights.
So we won't be getting any biomed data from you. So if you want to disconnect your harnesses, that's fine with us.
Okay, very good. Okay, let me give you the checklist here. The crew status report. The commander had one decongestant. CMP had nothing. LMP had one sleeping pill last night, one decongestant. The fans have been cycled. The water's been chlorinated. We verified the valves. Bat C is 37.0. Pyrobat A 37.1. Pyrobat B 37.1. You got the memory dump.
I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to be this shiny, but I like it.
We're gonna hit the pad actually. LFP, CMP are already.
Very good. Have a good night. You've certainly earned your rest.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the morning.
And how does the rates look to you down there?
Looks fine. Spin her up.
Okay.
So beyond these islands is the strait.
This is Apollo
And we're gonna
control at
hang a
175 hours,
pretty sharp
26
right.
minutes.
We'll still end up
That's
crossing
the end of the tape.
into Iranian airspace. We'll
We
fall
signed
along
off
the
with
southern
crew at an
Iranian
elapsed
coast.
Time of 175 hours, 20
That's
minutes. We do not plan to
for the best for sightseeing.
call them from the ground. We're going to let them sleep.
I say
until
islands,
they
but
call us.
technically
We
this
will put
is
in a wake-up call
one
to them in
really
the morning.
complicated
Let them
peninsula.
sleep as long as they like. An early look at the data from the TEI burn by the Flight Dynamics Officer William Boone shows the burn on time. The delta V achieved of 3,042.4 feet per second against a predicted 3,042.3 feet per second. Based on that, he has not changed the interface velocity numbers. They remain at 36,116.4 feet per second.
Going too fast.
An early look at the
Down.
entry angle shows it to be minus 6.69 degrees against a targeted minus 6.50 degrees. This will continue to be refined through tracking. We haven't had too much tracking yet since the burn. Not as much
We can
as
see the Iranian
Flight
coast there.
Dynamics officers like to look at. But based on this preliminary look, mid-course correction 5 would be only 1/2 foot per second or less. We also have the latest status report on the lunar surface experiment package, in particular the cold cathode ion gauge. Cold cathode ion gauge performed well when first activated, but its high voltage power supply turned itself off around 4 a.m. Central Standard Time on November 20th. This shut-off is probably due to arcing. The instrument can be reactivated, but turns itself off after a few seconds, indicating no permanent damage. Outgassing of the electronics is the suspected cause of arcing. To solve this problem, the gauge has been placed in a standby mode, and further operation is not planned until residual gases have been baked out. This is expected to take from 1 to 2 weeks. Arcing is a common problem in high voltage circuits, including home television sets. Electrical current jumps from one point to another across an air gap, accompanied by crackling noises and a visible flash.
Well,
Small traces of gas are more likely to sustain the current
we don't
flow
get that too
than
much
either a
anymore,
normal
but
atmosphere or a high vacuum. In the cold cathode ion gauge, the combination of high vacuum and moderate temperatures is conducive to release of gas molecules contained in non-metallic materials, such as potting compounds. Until the gas is dissipated, it permits arcing to occur. The overload resulting from current flow in the arc activates a safety circuit, shutting off the device. The condition has been encountered in vacuum chamber tests, but was avoided by pre-soaking the equipment in a vacuum for a few days before applying operational power. Flight to the moon had been expected to provide adequate soaking time.
but it didn't. Yep. Always remember, with your scientific
Apollo 12
instruments
is
in space, make sure
8,013
to
nautical miles
put them in a vacuum
from
chamber
the
and do the
moon,
outgassing
velocity
stuff beforehand.
4,389. Crew has turned in for the night, and at 175 hours 30 minutes, this is Mission Control Houston. This is Apollo Control at 176 hours 20 minutes. We've had no further conversations with Apollo 12 since Don Lynn, the Capcom, said goodnight to them an hour ago. At present, Apollo 12 is 10,111 nautical miles from the moon. Its velocity 4,250 feet per second. All systems that we are monitoring here during this sleep period continuing to function normally. We do not have the biomedical instrumentation on any of the crew for this sleep period. This is Mission Control Houston at 176 hours 21 minutes.
Yep, as expected, not easy to get
This is
this
Apollo Control at
trimmed out
177
properly.
hours 25 minutes. Apollo 12 now 12,759 nautical miles from the moon.
I also noticed the little cutouts on the
Speeding
canards
home at a velocity
where they would
of
otherwise clip the wing.
4,132 feet per second.
Interesting.
We still have had no conversation with the crew since an elapsed time of 175 hours 20 minutes when we said goodnight to them. We are continuing to monitor systems by telemetry. Performance is normal. At 177 hours 26 minutes, this is Mission Control Houston.
Plane's got some serious cheeks.
This is Apollo Control at 177 hours 49 minutes. The change of shift news conference in the Houston News Center will begin at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. 8:30 p.m.
Oh, we're going
Griffin
really high
and
now.
The gold team is being relieved now by Flight Director Clifford Charlesworth and the green team. Capcom coming on shift now is Paul Weitz. Apollo 12's distance from the moon at present is 13,732 nautical miles. Velocity 4,098 feet per second. This is Mission Control Houston at 177 hours 49 minutes.
Oh, okay, come on.
This is Apollo Control, 179 hours, 22 minutes, ground elapsed time. Some 64 hours, 59 minutes until entry. Apollo 12, crew still asleep at this time. Now, some 17,405 nautical miles out from the moon, traveling at a velocity of 4,003 feet per second relative to the moon. Spacecraft weight, 25,175 pounds. Crew is, according to this flight plan, scheduled to be awakened at 2:30 in the morning Central Time. However, it's planned to let them sleep as long as they want to, and they in turn would make the first call back to Mission Control. At 179 hours, 23 minutes, ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control.
I will say that the coast of Pakistan tends to be a little bit more interesting to look at. We'll be getting there soon enough. Oh, we're going too high again.
This is Apollo
If it weren't for
Control,
fuel economy and my desire to go
81
quickly,
hours, 8
I'd
minutes,
fly lower, of
ground
course.
elapsed time.
Whoa, really high.
Apollo 12 spacecraft
Probably not healthy
homeward
for it.
bound, some 21,524 nautical miles out from the moon. Velocity 3,933 feet per second. Countdown clock to entry interface are 400,000 feet above the surface of the Earth. Now showing 63 hours, 12 minutes until entry. Crew still asleep at this time. It's a situation where don't call us, we'll call you. The crew will sleep longer than the scheduled time in the flight plan. And at 181 hours, 8 minutes, ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control. This is Apollo Control, 182 hours, 21 minutes, ground elapsed time, 61 hours, 59 minutes until entry interface, Monday afternoon. Distance now from the moon of Apollo 12, 24,356 nautical miles. Velocity, reference to the moon, 3,899 feet per second. Crew still asleep at this time. And at 182 hours, 22 minutes, ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control. This is Apollo Control, 183 hours, 30 minutes, ground elapsed time, 60 hours, 51 minutes until entry interface. Crew of Apollo 12 still asleep at this time. Spacecraft Apollo 12, meanwhile, is now 26,984 nautical miles out from the moon on the return leg home. Velocity relative
Well,
to
we've
the
got
moon,
some clouds now.
3,874 feet per second. Some other numbers for those who like to
And
dabble
it's going
in
up again.
statistics.
I
Apollo
mean,
12 will
yeah.
cross over from the moon
Trying to
sphere of
get that
influence
elevator
to the
turn
Earth
right.
sphere of influence at a ground elapsed time of
It's not.
186 hours, 30 minutes.
I get the feeling this isn't
43
designed to
seconds.
just stay steady, so, which is not a
The
surprise.
equal distance point, halfway between the moon and Earth,
Or they just
will
let the
come at
autopilot handle
219
that.
hours, 47 minutes, and 40 seconds. The distance at that time will be 110,904 nautical miles.
point of equal velocity between Earth and Moon, that is, when the spacecraft velocity relative to both bodies is equal, will come at 207 hours, 14 minutes, 40 seconds. The velocity at that time will be 3,919.5 feet per second. The midpoint, or halfway back between TEI, trans-Earth injection, and entry, will come at a ground elapsed time of 208 hours, 23 minutes, 41 seconds, at which time the spacecraft will be 139,992 nautical miles out from Earth.
Just keeping an eye on the fuel. Still looks like about an hour's worth left. Plenty.
And the moon figures at this halfway point, 83,322 nautical miles out from the moon. Velocity 3,944 feet per second. And at 183 hours, 32 minutes ground elapsed time, this is Apollo control. This is Apollo control, 186 hours, 7 minutes ground elapsed time, 58 hours, 14 minutes until entry interface. Still reference to the moon in velocity and distance. Apollo 12 is now 32,932 miles outbound from the moon, traveling at a velocity 3,834 feet per second.
Probably by the time I actually figure out the trim on this, we'll have arrived.
The orange team of flight controllers, headed up by Pete Frank, is taking over here in the control room from the green team, Cliff Charlesworth. It's been a rather quiet night. The crew is still asleep. No estimate yet on when they will wake up, begin the day's activities. Planning for mid-course correction burn number 5 is being slipped hour by hour.
They're missing the correction burn. Let them sleep,
case.
darn it.
186 hours, 8 minutes ground elapsed time. This is Apollo control.
This is Apollo Control Houston at 186 hours, 25 minutes now into the flight of Apollo 12. Pete Frank's team of orange flight controllers are now aboard in the Mission Control Center. Our new capsule communicator for this shift is astronaut Ed Gibson, replacing Paul Weitz at that position. Presently, Flight Director Pete Frank is going around the room discussing those items that should be accomplished once the crew is awakened. We are presently still looking at the performance of a mid-course correction 5. This would be a relatively slight correction using the RCS. Although a pad is now being updated, we will be looking at a delta V in the order of 2.2 feet per second. Without a mid-course at this time, we show an entry angle at entry interface of on the order of 7.95 degrees. The optimum number we're looking at there is 6.5.
We're close to crossing into Pakistan.
Apollo 12 spacecraft at this time.
Oh, clouds are being rebuilt just in time.
insensitive.
Oh, good. We get a better look at the ground.
And far as the performance of MCC-5, it's very much independent of where it's done, as long as it's done in the order of ground elapsed time 186 to 187 hours.
Oh, I'm sure you can wait a couple of extra
We will
hours
pass
on
on
that
the,
mid-course correction.
Pad numbers as soon as they're worked up in final form by Retro and the flight dynamics.
You told them they
officers.
could sleep as long as they wanted.
In opening his comments, Pete Frank at this early hour of the morning said perhaps we should open with calisthenics.
Basically, the border runs right through the middle of this bay to our right here.
Bob up, and he stated everybody looks bright-eyed, but I don't see any bushy tails. We're currently looking at sphere exit, or the exit from the lunar sphere of influence in the order of ground elapsed time 186 hours 30 minutes 43 seconds, some less than 3 minutes from this time. We presently show a velocity on Apollo 12 en route back from the moon of 3,830 feet per second, an altitude from the surface of the moon of 33,732 nautical miles. So at 186 hours, 29 minutes into the flight, this is Apollo Control Houston, continuing to monitor.
We are now in Pakistan.
Apollo Control Houston at 186 hours 34 minutes now into the flight of Apollo 12. The Apollo 12 crew still in their rest period. Meanwhile, in Mission Control Center, looking at our digital displays, we have changed the reference from Moon to Earth reference. At the present time, we show Apollo 12 at an altitude of 183,308.1 nautical miles above the Earth. The spacecraft's velocity relative to Earth now reads 2,972.9 feet per second. This is Apollo Control Houston.
On the south coast of Iran, we didn't have many big cities. There's some small ones around here. In Pakistan,
Apollo Control Houston at 187
but
hours and 10 minutes
basically
the flight of Apollo 12.
the big one is Karachi.
We've still had no contact with the Apollo 12 crew, apparently continuing in their cycle of rest. However, in Mission Control Center, we've worked up at the retro fire officer down in the
You
front
can
row.
sort
We've
of see
worked up,
some
at least a tentative pad
residences on this interestingly shaped peninsula.
Assuming that this pad is enacted,
We're pretty high though.
have the
There's even an airfield there.
MCC-5 at the ground elapsed time of 188 hours, 27 minutes, 14 seconds, with a delta V of 2.2 feet per second. Its effect would be to modestly shallow out the trajectory. On its present course, Apollo 12 would be looking at an entry angle of minus 7.95 degrees.
When going fast,
The effect
don't
of
pull too hard.
this slight burn would be to bring the entry angle down
Sort
to
of wavy
minus
lines on the landscape back there.
5 degrees.
Wish I knew more geology.
Also, it would have an effect of slowing our
Might be good to do some
entry
geology
interface to
flights.
about 1 minute on its present course. Apollo 12 would arrive at entry interface at 244 hours, 21 minutes, 4 seconds, with this slight alteration, the GET time should be 244 hours, 22 minutes, 5 seconds. We'll stand by and continue to monitor. We presently show a ground elapsed time into the mission of 187 hours and 12 minutes. This is Apollo Control, Houston. This is Apollo Control, Houston, at 187 hours at 25 minutes now into the flight. Apollo 12 presently traveling at a velocity of 3,000.4 feet per second. Its present altitude above Earth, 181,838.7 nautical miles.
It's going down again.
Looking at our displays and mission control center, there
It's an interesting coastal range here.
is some indication that the crew may be awake now.
Pretty distinctive.
There's been some
Oh yeah, it's going too
activity
fast. Let me
reported,
just slow down.
on their display keyboard for the guidance computer.
Still holding to Mach 1.8, mind you, but the structural limits are technically indicated airspeed.
Before too very long. We're at 187 hours, 26 minutes into the flight and continuing to monitor.
Oh, they're playing music. I thought they weren't gonna wake him up, but it sounds like they're trying to wake him up anyway. Oh yeah. Well, hopefully this isn't a issue. Interesting turquoise in the landscape there. I mean, must be water, right? Or is it actually turquoise, the stone? I don't know. Nope.
Good morning, 12. Welcome back to Trans-Earth Coast.
He's got a really good voice. I think that's Ed Gibson. Oh, wait. They're playing their own music in response.
Good morning, Houston. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you folks?
Fine. We'd like to say we really sacked out last night, I guess.
That you did.
More of that turquoise.
Very good.
Say, Pete, right now,
What's new in the world of news?
okay, why don't we first figure out how you want to go from here. We could take and pick up mid-course 5, which is relatively small, a little over 2 feet per second at 188.27, or we could slip it a little bit. It's maybe up to on the hour even. It's really up to you folks.
Quite an intricate landscape. Rough landscape.
827, huh?
That's right.
Lots of
It depends upon
streams.
how far you are along in your post-sleep activities. It can be slipped just as easily.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and burn it on time? I'll tell you what, the only thing we have to do is change the canister. And we all had 12 hours sleep last night, I think.
They all had 12 hours of sleep.
And the PRDs are 110261.
The PAO will make a funny comment about that later. It's one of my favorite lines from this mission.
We'll go ahead and do a quick P52 here for you, the PTC orientation. And then give you the confuser, okay? And you can uplink the load. That's what we'll do.
Okay, that sounds
Well,
good.
let's give a little bit of afterburner for fun. I want to burn off some fuel so we're lighter. You saw how it struggled to get off the runway. I'm afraid of the stall speed here.
You want us to try and get the H2 purge done and the wastewater dumped before...
You can see it consumes about 8,000 pounds per
Yeah,
hour
let's
when
go
we're
ahead
on
and
the
try and check things
afterburner.
out in the same order in which you would have done them before. That is, all flight plan items preceding your mid-course 5 were still required and accomplish at your own accrued
And
determined
then
pace.
about half of
Your
that
motor
once we're
dump
off of it.
Fuel cell
Pretty
purges
typical.
after your sextant star check.
Okay, very good. We'll go ahead and do the P52 right now.
Okay, and one word on after MCC5 and your associated data dump. You roll the spacecraft 180 degrees and hold attitude rather than PTC for the next 1.5 hours, and then you perform P23 nominally scheduled for 189.
Okay, P23 for 189. What roll orientation did you want?
Okay, you'd be rolling 180 degrees from the attitude you have in MCC5.
Alright, we might as well descend now.
Okay, very good.
We have a consumables pad for you here, and we'll be coming up with a maneuver pad shortly.
This is Apollo Control Houston at 187 hours 48 minutes into the flight. That was Pete Conrad talking to Capcom Ed Gibson, and as you heard, we commenced with our wake-up music about 5 minutes ago. And it became a bit of a battle of the bands as the crew played back music to the ground from their onboard recorder. We presently show Apollo 12 traveling at a speed of 3,013.5 feet per second and at a distance from Earth of 181,157.7 nautical miles. This is Apollo Control Houston.
Apollo 12, Omni Charlie. Omni Charlie.
Oh, here we go. Here we go with the Omnis, as usual.
Apollo 12, Omni Charlie. Omni Charlie. Apollo 12, Omni Charlie. Omni Charlie. Apollo 12, Omni Charlie. Omni Charlie.
Let's keep it around
Apollo 12.
here past the speed of sound. Let's not go too slow yet.
Okay, here's the alignment for you. It was done on 6 and 45. Star angle difference 4 balls 1 plus 002 minus 00301 plus 00211 1875445. And the computer is yours.
Roger, Pete. You can go ahead and cut off the cryo fans.
Okay.
And we have a maneuver pad and consumables update in that order when you're ready to copy.
Okay, give me the consumables update first.
Okay. GET 18730. RCS total 34. And alpha through delta 35, 32, 34, 34. H2 34.5 and 34.5. O2 37.3, 40.2.
Okay, I copied all that. We're ready for maneuver band.
MCC5, RCS GNN 25138. Your trims are NA. GET 188271374. Plus 00020. And Delta VY, Delta VZ are 0. 089er, 339er, 007, down 44 NA, 00020, 005, 00020, 22, 3230.
Hold on a second.
Roger.
I understand now. The Delta VT with the 00020 start from there.
Okay. First noun 44 was NA, Delta VT was 00020, 005, 00020. That was Delta VC. 22, 3230, 359. Foresight start 016. Up 072. Left 42. Noun 61. Minus 1581. Minus 16514. 11711.
So this bay to our right is called Miani Hor.
244.
Pretty sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly in many, many ways, but sort of got a peninsula. It's pretty big, the bay. Can't see it properly with the clouds and all, but there's the bay and then the peninsula to the south, to the right.
Is a 4-jet RCS plus X.
As an outlet to the Indian Ocean there, ahead of us. It's a pretty major feature ahead of Karachi.
Okay, RCS GNN 25138, NA 188271374, plus 00020, next two are zips, and then roll is 089339 007, NA 00020, 005, 00020, 223230, 359, 016, up 072, left 42, minus 1581, minus 16518, 11711, 36198, 244, 2234, zeros in Rigel, 256, 152, 069, 4-jet plus X.
Okay, noun 61. Longitude was 16514, and the other is correct.
Roger. I've got minus 16514. Is that right?
That's Charlie.
Okay. Houston, also, we're going to vent the battery compartment there. That's up to about 3.6. Do that along with the rest of the dump.
Roger.
Apollo Control Houston at 188 hours, 1 minute into flight. That was Al Bean taking down the mid-course correction number 5 maneuver pad. We're looking at GET of ignition, 188 hours, 27 minutes, 13.
Okay, it's sort of cloudy here, but to our right is Karachi.
Per second.
Dump speed here.
The computer is yours.
Roger.
We presently show Apollo 12 at 180,772 nautical miles away from Earth, now traveling at a velocity of 3,021.2 feet per second.
Apollo 12, Omni Bravo. Apollo 12, Omni Bravo.
Still carrying a fair bit of fuel. 3,000 pounds.
Apollo 12, Omni Bravo.
Not again. Communication. Always. Such an issue.
Apollo 12, Omni Alpha. Omni Alpha. Apollo 12.
A reminder that because I cut out the pauses, that there are actually about a minute between each of these requests for Omni Bravo or Omni Alpha from the Capcom.
Apollo 12, Houston. Apollo 12, Houston.
I think I brought myself down a little bit early, but that's alright.
Houston, we got you on the high gain now, and the H2O2 fuel cell purge is going to work. Release water dump. Seconds to start check. Okay.
Roger.
We're technically violating the 250 knot rule thing. Maybe I should go up a
Apollo
little
12,
bit.
Houston, you can hold off on that battery.
But the
recharge
clouds,
until
darn it.
tomorrow.
Okay.
It's Apollo Control Houston at 188 hours, 23 minutes, now into the flight of Apollo 12. The Apollo 12 spacecraft currently traveling at a speed of 3,033.2 feet per second and is presently 180,151 nautical miles away from Earth. We're 4 minutes away from MCC ignition.
Done by burn time. What would you like us to do about that? We can purge oxygen a minute 20 for each, or we can do something else.
Stand by, Pete. Apollo 12, Houston, you can go ahead and continue on with the purge through the burn.
Oh, you can see a little bit of Karachi over to the left there, but there are some strategically placed clouds right now.
We're 30 seconds away from ignition for MCC-5. Seconds away now. GNC reports plus X. We'll stand by for a burn status from Apollo 12.
Okay, Houston, the burn is complete.
Roger, 12.
Your residuals were 0.
Roger.
It's only like a foot per second or something, this mid-course correction of theirs.
That was Pete
Oh,
Conrad
we need to slow down.
reporting the burn completed with 0 residuals. We're at 188 hours, 28 minutes into the flight. And Apollo 12 now 179,992 nautical miles out.
There's Pakistan Air Force Base to our right under the cloud. Try and spot it.
Kind of thing I finished the burn, I was reading 1.8 feet per second. It's got a pretty sizable bias on it. Yeah, I have reported this before because it has been working and meeting all tolerances. But in the EM Delta V test, it goes
There it
down to
is. Well, at least one runway of it.
and it's been consistent that way throughout the flight.
There's the other runway. But that's not where we're landing.
Roger, Dick.
Let's see what kind of air brakes we have. Basically, it's using the Elevon and
12, Houston.
Canard as combined air brakes.
Go ahead.
Would you enable AC roll in the DAP? And also we're showing that your weight is about 400 pounds heavier than what we passed you in the pad.
I don't know if there's gonna be any sights to see here. There's some stadiums, but even if there are sites in Karachi, I don't know if they'll be rendered here. Lots of buildings, though.
Okay, now.
Sure, the roadways will be familiar. So, well,
Stand
sudden
by for just a
clouds.
moment,
I hate sudden clouds.
We're rolling.
Okay, I think that two-runway airport to the left is the one that we want, but let me check. OPKC.
Pete, if you've already eaten, you can go right on to the P-23s, and the attitude for those...
Is it a cloud layer or is it
like
smog?
mine.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I think I'd better go inside the cockpit.
Apollo Control, Houston.
Guess we'll line up for landing
the,
anyway.
P-23 reference there is computer program 23, cislunar mid-course navigation. We now show Apollo 12 at 179,851 nautical miles away from Earth, traveling at a speed of 3,039.6 feet per second. We're at
Okay, landing
188
gear.
hours, 34 minutes into the
Let's
flight
check.
of Apollo 12.
Looks
and
good.
This is Apollo Control, Houston.
Okay, judging from my map, should be sort of like this.
Hey, Apollo 12.
12, Houston, go ahead.
Roger, buddy. P-23s.
It's fidgety at these speeds.
Which two do you
Very
suggest?
fidgety.
Alpha and Bravo. Disable Alpha and Bravo.
Roger, Alpha.
Okay,
Bravo,
there it
disable.
is. Oh, it's got too much lift too.
And 12, you can give us Omni Alpha as you approach the high gain limits.
Oh yeah, it's so wow. Okay, stop jittery. Stop it. Oh no, I don't like this. I retracted the flaps. Maybe
This is
not
Apollo
quickly
Control,
enough.
Houston at
All right.
188 hours, 52 minutes.
That was a
down
bit
the flight of
vigorous
Apollo
there.
12. Apollo
Oh,
12
now you clear up.
traveling at 3,050.7 feet per second. Its present distance away from Earth, now 179,000.
Oh, and we've got the imbalance because one of the
miles.
flaps went bad.
We've not been in contact with the Apollo 12 spacecraft for several minutes. The Apollo 12 crew now making preparations for cislunar navigation tasks. However, our earlier contact with Pete Conrad and Al Bean, specifically, they've sounded fresh and chipper.
Indeed they did.
Each reported approximately 12 hours of sleep,
Here it is.
giving a combined total of 36 hours, probably some kind of record for sleep in spaceflight.
I like that
We're
comment.
at 188 hours, 54 minutes.
Probably
into the flight,
some
and
kind
we
of
will
record
continue
for
to monitor the,
sleep in
air ground loop.
spaceflight. That's a good comment. All right. Let's not. This thing. This thing wants to stall on me, I swear.
Apollo 12, Houston.
We're going too fast again.
Apollo 12, Houston.
I am being impatient.
Apollo 12, Houston. Omni Delta. Omni Delta.
Roger, roger. How's Omni Delta, Houston?
Roger, thank you, Pete. Say, do you have a reason for not selecting balance couples for P-23? Hello, 12, Houston.
Let me trim it out with some of the flaps down. We can't use full flaps, I don't think. There's... Well, there might be enough trim for a little bit more.
Go ahead, Houston.
12, do you have a reason for not selecting balance couples for the P-23?
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'll give it to you. Sorry about this. Not too familiar with this
Do
plane.
you read the CMP, Houston?
That's negative, Pete. We're not picking up the CMP at all. The only transmissions we've heard are from you.
Okay, I got him. How about now?
Okay, Dick, you're coming in now. Okay, Dick, we got you. Go ahead.
I have a reason for not using... Yeah, I sure have a reason for not using balance couple, and that's when I'm using the minimum impulse
I just
control
wanted to make sure everything looked right.
This balance couple on the vehicle is far too sensitive to get decent marks with this thing. The vehicle motions are too exaggerated. My P-23 information will be much better if I use unbalanced couple.
Okay, Pete. Or Dick, good idea. Thank you. Hello, Pete. Houston.
Go ahead, Houston.
You gave us a battery manifold pressure of 3.6. Would you confirm that that is volts?
Would you confirm that
Yeah,
that is
that's, well,
volts?
I read it wrong. I was looking at the wrong thing. It was 1.8 volts.
Raj, 1.8. We did a little head scratching down here on that one. Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. It's good to exercise the system. Apollo 12, Houston. High gain antenna angles for your next P-23 attitude. Pitch.
Well, here we go again.
-5.5. Yaw 3.
It's Apollo Control, Houston. We're at 189 hours, 15 minutes now into the flight.
Gosh darn it.
At the present time, Command Module pilot Dick Gordon exercising the onboard navigation system, going through a series of Program 23
Well, I'm gonna try and set it down here. This is not a good approach.
With star sightings. We presently show Apollo 12, 178,606 nautical miles away
The
from
rudders really don't like to
its velocity
do their
reading
thing.
3,064.4 feet
Okay.
per second. We're at 189
Whoa,
hours,
whoa.
16 minutes, and continuing to monitor. This is
sorry,
Apollo Control,
sorry.
Houston.
Houston, 12.
12, Houston, go ahead.
Okay, got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Anybody got any suggestions down
Well,
there on how we can warm
doesn't
up
look
the
like
cabin
there's
a little
anything
bit and
broken.
get a little
Well, except for that
Can we
flap.
Go, do like we do on launch day
Actually,
or
you can
whatever
tell
it is,
that
and,
because
maybe
the
run a secondary loop with that
right one
going
isn't
on
quite
there.
as extended as the left one, huh?
Stand by, Pete.
But that wasn't ideal.
Houston, 12.
12, go ahead.
Well, as I taxi, I'm gonna pause the audio and we'll hear what Apollo 12 wanted from Houston in the next video. So with that, and with some trepidation about my flying skills at this point, I'll say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, please do press like. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.